Hey everyone, welcome to another GameXplain discussion. It's been a week since the Animal Crossing Direct, and we have had the full week to contemplate on all that incredible information that we've learned over the 20 minutes in the Direct on Friday morning. I'm Mathew Kirkegaard, and with me is Chris Carpenter and Chuy from ChuyPlays. How are you doing today?
Doing great.
Doing good. Excited to talk some Animal Crossing.
Yes.
So, Chuy, you want to tell them about yourself?
Yeah. So I'm ChuyPlays. I run a YouTube channel called ChuyPlays. It's mostly Animal Crossing content, but I cover other indie games and Nintendo games here and there. I host a podcast called Haken, an Animal Crossing podcast. We've got over 200 episodes at this point, so I talk a lot of Animal Crossing. I also host a cool new show called Nintendo Noise through an outlet called Flipscreen Games. If you want to check that out, that's on flipscreen.games. And I just started as a writer for this really awesome magazine called Patch. And it's a print magazine focused around indie games, inclusivity, and sharing a love for indie games. The first issue is actually out next month, and there's a few days to order it. So if you're interested, it's pretty awesome. I'm excited about this project a lot.
Nice. Oh, that's great. Congratulations. So how are you both feeling about the Direct now that you had that chance to, 7 days almost now?
Look, it's been a week, and honestly, sometimes with Directs, it seems like there's a lot while you're watching it, and it's very overwhelming. But then after the fact, you kind of list everything out, and you're like, okay, I can sort of get a better idea of everything that was announced. But with this, there was so much, little things and big things. I'm still kind of wrapping my head around all of it. I have a doc of notes here that I imagine we'll go through. And I mean,
right.
Of course, big things and small things, but I mean, there's just so much. It was pretty incredible.
Yeah, It took me the whole weekend to recover.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, how about you, Chuy? How do you actually feel about it overall?
I loved it. I think this is a lot of stuff that we needed to happen for Animal Crossing, and to the point where it was just I showed my wife about 3 minutes of it and was just blown away by how much they showed in just the first 3 minutes alone.
Exactly.
And I was I can't believe how much they stuffed into this. It was they took all of their previous kind of Animal Crossing update trailers and just made 12 of them in one. It was wild.
Yeah, it was hard to process. We had to go over it multiple times. We created a whole bunch of notes for it. It took forever to get through the notes. But yeah, because of all that time, at first we all gave it a 10. Andre gave it a 10, Tris gave it a 10, I gave it a 10. Over the time though, we had a chance to consider the pros and the cons of the Direct, because Nintendo, for as much content as they produced, they also had stated that there will be no more big updates that are free. That has been officially stated by them. Now, could this possibly mean that there will be paid updates that are large? Possibly. We have heard some rumblings that may not be the case, but Nintendo have always the chance to change their minds based on the reception of the game and the updates. Mm-hmm. So we'll be discussing the highlights. So, Chuy, we'll go with you first. What were the highlights of the Direct for you?
Oh man, I had so many. I think there were probably 5 things that stuck out to me most. I guess I'll list them real quick. The Happy Home Paradise stuff, the paid DLC, all of that, incredible. But from the free stuff, there was Harv's Island, some new Nook Mile redemptions, gyroids, and then ladders and vines, which is kind of a funny thing to stick at the end of that.
Right. Yeah, that was actually really cool. I like the additional ways of getting up cliffs and such. That's a small thing for a lot of people, but it's actually a really good way to highlight your island, to add some little panache. So, what were yours, Chris? What were your highlights?
I mean, quite a bit. I think the first thing, I'd say probably my main prediction, or really it was more of a hope, but I said it in our predictions, was a new place to go. Somewhere new to visit, a new horizon, so to speak. And And we essentially got that twice, you know, with Harv's Island having a whole new kind of like shopping district now, which is like basically something I said that I wanted, like a sort of like metropolitan kind of area just to go to. And it's obviously not a city or anything, but like a shopping district to go. And I think that's really great.
Right.
That also, the Happy Home Paradise gives you a whole new place to design. And that's amazing. You know, I mean, it's like, I was honestly completely not expecting as much as they showed. And while I am a bit bummed that this is basically kind of the end for New Horizons, at least from the way they put it, how they said there won't be much in the way of updates in the future. Like, what a way to go out, you know? I'm okay with it. I'm already kind of like past the New Horizon hype train a bit, just because I stopped playing it after a while. This will totally get me back in for a while, you know, and I'm looking forward to it. So I was just kind of going into this with the mindset of like, whatever they add, I'll be happy about. And man, am I happy. I was pretty impressed by this. So new places to go is great.
Yeah, we have so many hours ahead of us. We're probably going to be doing some daily streams, or at least some sort of a stream with that. Andre is probably going to be dead by the time this is over. I'll be seeing if I could be producing similar content as well. We already have some analyses coming out. Some of them have already been produced, such as the 16 new residents. And some others are coming out as well. We have the focus on KK Slider's new songs, and that should be coming out either as of this or very, very soon.
Can we talk about that real quick?
Yeah,
the new songs. I specifically got this out. This is the entire collection of Animal Crossing music for New Horizons.
Nice.
It's 7 CDs. I managed to get it, and now I'm just like, it's obsolete.
That is
exactly. I'll have to update it now.
and now just like put out another one. Put out another.
That's awesome.
Well, they can just append it, like being able to buy like a separate CD. For all the new content.
Yeah,
that'd be good. Awesome. But they also, the cool thing about it is that it does have like a book, an art book with all of the KK Slider album covers too. Oh, cool. So that new CD better also include that.
Yeah. Because KK Slider also has all these new music box variations as well, which we've also seen in New Leaf. But they finally bringing that kind of concept back. Which is really cool. I'm really glad that I did not expect KK Slider to have more songs. That was not something I would expect. But a lot of other things we predicted pretty surprisingly well. But a lot of that was because of the code. We kind of saw things like Katrina with the whole lucky items and such. We knew Brewster was coming even before that was shown. Just because of the code. Now, leftover code does not necessarily mean that it is definitely coming. It can be leftover code from the initial development cycle, but it can also be very useful to see that code because especially if it's changing over time, that means the developers are actually doing something with that. Not 100% confirmation, but a really high likelihood that they will do something with that. But yeah, there was also a lot of things that we were hoping to see, like Captain. We saw Captain. Sorry, not Captain. Captain. The Kappa. And the ability to go to even more islands than you could with Nook Miles, which is really cool because all these new little things there, like the vines. And,
the landscapes are so cool.
Moss. They were so cool looking. I definitely like that, and I really am happy they have a full-on cooking system. That is so cool.
Yeah.
I'm really happy with that, and a lot of other things too. It's like, I don't think I'm displeased with anything that we actually saw. It's the only thing that's disappointment is what we didn't see.
Yeah,
and that's a good segue. So, what are you disappointed about? That was not shown in the direct or has been confirmed or deconfirmed rather will not be coming to Animal Crossing Horizons or may not be coming to Animal Crossing Horizons. Start with you, Chuy.
Yeah, please, because I don't know. I don't have anything. Go ahead, Chuy.
Well, funny enough, I'm kind of concerned about one thing we did see, and it's basically revolving around the amiibo cards. I'm actually working on a bit of a video on it to rant about this thing. But in North America, amiibo cards come in packs of 6, and we get 1 special character and 5 villagers per pack. They're keeping that, but the new set is 24 special characters and 24 villagers, so the numbers are going to be way off. People are going to have tons of villager cards and not very many special character cards. And as somebody who has the entire set of Animal Crossing amiibo, I'm just stressed out about it. I'm like, how am I going to collect all of these things?
Yeah. I'm sure there's some ways that people are able to do it. It's tricky. I'm still trying to figure out how to get all of the various posters and portraits. I'm sorry, they're portraits, posters, and they have different names. But yeah, I don't have all of those yet. But it's going to be a challenge. I think it's the only things that I don't have direct access to right now. Because of trading online with Nookazon and such, it has been incredibly helpful in accruing all these different items and all the variations for them. If it weren't for a lot of people online right now, I don't think I would have managed this, or at least would have lost patience with it, because it's just so insane. I know it's not as many items as it is in New Leaf, but with all the variations of those items, it really increases the number. But
I guess I've got to make it a habit to send you a couple posters a day, since I've got all the villagers.
Oh, that's cool. I appreciate that. Although I'm actually thinking of getting the amiibo cards, or some way of getting the amiibo content like scanned through my system some way, in some way. And that would be a really good way to do it. That way you can actually have direct access to it anytime you want, and not just have to store it in store away inside of your storage. Even though the storage has increased to or will be able to be increased to 5,000 items. That is actually pretty nice.
That's great.
Very nice. Yeah.
What was it at? What was it at before?
2,400, I think.
Yeah.
Gosh, yeah.
It's more than doubled at this point.
I mean, gosh, that's to the point where it should just be like infinite, Like by that point, 5,000 is so much.
Yeah, but the code, when you save the game, the code has to actually keep track of all that stuff.
Sure.
The saving alone would just take forever if you had, like, say, I don't know, 10,000 items or more.
Oh,
it's just so many.
Yeah.
It's great, though.
It's a lot of items. Yeah, and then I guess outside of that, that was one thing that I was disappointed with. But the thing that was really missing, I'd say, for probably a lot of players, is just like a real multiplayer aspect to the game. Something like mini games, something that we can actually do together. I remember when we first saw 8 players on an island, and I was like, are we going to see 4v4 mini games here? Is this going to be completely competitive Animal Crossing now? So I'm bummed to not see something like that, but I don't know. Hopefully, there's still the chance that something can come, and I'm like, well, maybe a multiplayer update DLC package would be something to consider,
As part of the higher tier of Nintendo Online.
That's true.
Nintendo Switch Online.
Yeah.
Very possible that they would do it that way, because it would be considered a big update, and Nintendo have said that they will not do any more large free updates. So that would be fine. I think it would work out, and well, let's hope we see that. How about you, Chris? What has been disappointment for you in the Direct?
Yeah, Chuy, you mentioning the multiplayer, or the lack thereof, of new multiplayer content. That's probably the biggest thing for me, because I did predict, some kind of like Nook app that allows you to play games, that arranges games to play on your island with your friends. And I think like, thinking about New Horizons, and this update in particular, or everything that was announced, it'll definitely get me, like as a gamer and a fan of the series, like back into the game, But my friends who are casual players, I don't know if anything could have, gotten them back into the game. That's just like the way it is. They're off playing the new whatever. But it would have been nice to have something to come back to with them and play, But I do, thinking about all of this as a solely single player thing, and not putting aside all of that, it's all okay. It's fine. I would say it's not really a disappointment. about one thing in particular that was announced or that wasn't announced. It's like more of a positive thing, but I'm sort of framing it as a negative thing. And that's because there's so much here that I probably won't care much about myself, but that I would have totally loved if it was here day one, and that I would have really gotten into. And that's why I feel like right now, if someone hasn't played New Horizons before, if a person watching this hasn't played New Horizons, it is such a good time to get the game, because they'll be able to experience and really like get into a lot of this stuff that'll be added after the fact that like even I probably won't get too into, just because I'm so burnt out on the game already, just because I played it a lot because the game is great. But now's a really good time to play New Horizons. If you never have before, I mean, there's more than there ever has been. Like with cooking. Oh yes. Cooking is a good example. I probably won't get into that much, but new players, that being like part of the base content for them, I could totally see someone really, really getting into that.
I think it's funny you mentioned cooking, though, because I think that's the thing most people really want to get into.
That's probably just me, then.
I have seen so many people saying they're going to start a farm, they're clearing out this area so they can get all their crops growing and everything. That's awesome. So, people are pumped for that in particular.
Good. Yeah. I'm glad.
There are a lot of new items that you're able to create from that, and you can also consume them as well, and gain at least 5 points of strength, energy, I suppose. Energy. And that is definitely a quality of life update, because I was thinking, there were no quality of life updates, and I was a little disappointed by that, because a lot of people were like, can you do mass crafting, such as getting a whole bunch of fish bait, which would have been very nice, and also to take care of the Dodo Airlines, the way you go through the process of getting to somebody else's island or to welcome others into your island, it is just so convoluted that it's really difficult if you're trying to perform trades and stuff like that, and somebody wants to come to your island instead of you going to theirs, and you have to keep opening up, closing, and stuff like that. It is really tricky, and I really wish they had a little profile to where, like, this is my profile for leaving to somebody else's island, and this is my profile for inviting people to my island.
That's true, like a shortcut almost.
A little shortcut. That would have been nice.
And even spending Nook Mile tickets too, like to go villager hunting, you gotta go, you gotta spend your ticket, go to one island, come back, and then spend another ticket to go out to another. People are just like, just let me go straight to the next island from that island I'm at, that'll
that
cut
would
a lot
have worked.
of time right there.
But also the Nook Miles tickets make me think of another thing. Can you imagine how hard it is, what was for a lot of people who had to print out their own Nook Miles tickets, every single ticket, one at a time?
One at a time.
I refused to do that, and I ended up just, getting it over trading. It's like, okay, well, I amassed a whole bunch of them just because of trading, because I don't have like all day to just like press buttons all day long.
That's true.
But
I limit myself to 10. I'm just like, I can't do more than 10.
Right.
I don't want to sit here all day.
I can understand that. But surprisingly, I could not say that there were no quality of life updates, because there were. There's new portable storage and the portable ABD, the automatic bell dispenser, and also the recipes. Of course, boost your energy if you have a lot of things that you want to break or dig up, like dig up trees. It's right there. You just eat a pizza like you saw on the video. But also disappointment for me, other than that small thing, but was the fact that I agree with Triss. I think the fact that they kind of missed out on the new Nintendo content is really disappointing to me in some ways. I understand that Animal Crossing should be able to stand on its own, but it's already set the stage a long time ago. It
definitely has,
Yeah, it set the bar already with even with the first I guess the first, I'm not sure, I can't remember if the Japanese Nintendo 64 one had it, but actually it did, I think, but for sure the GameCube one had all sorts of Nintendo content, and then it got more and more as it came with Wild World and City Folk, aka Let's Go to the City, and then finally New Leaf. We had so much Nintendo stuff, Metroid, Zelda. It just kept on going, and it was like, oh, we're definitely going to get something like that, and we didn't. We got Mario. Now don't get me wrong, the Mario stuff is great. I would love to see more Mario stuff, like the Peach's Parasol and a lot of other, like the kart, the go kart. I'd love to see more of that stuff. Just keep bringing it. Maybe they can. Maybe Nintendo do not see that as a large update, but rather just an opportunity to put it into the Nook stop or other such things. And if they can do that, awesome. That means it'll satisfy a lot of people who want to see that kind of promotion. Splatoon, bring in the Splatoon villagers, the Zelda villagers, stuff like that. It would be very possible. And fortunately, Nintendo have been paying attention to the fans, so maybe they will do something. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised they didn't as well. Like, it feels like, you're right, it seems like they're pushing Animal Crossing to be something that stands on its own, and I feel like it's already proved that it can, and it does that, but like, you added Mario stuff, now you're just like picking and choosing. Just give us the rest of it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, Hello Kitty.
I know, it's adorable.
It's great.
Yeah.
But
it feels like there's a hole. It feels like there is like a missing hole in Animal Crossing New Horizons that would be filled by that content, that like crossover content.
Yeah.
Like, it's just odd that it's not there. Or it's actually, I think it's even more odd that we have the Mario content and the Mario content is so great, but there's nothing else, Like, it'd be one thing if there was none period, and they just decided they didn't want to do that with this game.
Right.
But it would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see, but in the meantime, we're gonna have a lot of content, and we won't be able to focus a whole lot on that. Both the free and the paid. Will you both be getting the paid, either by buying it or by getting it through the second tier of the Nintendo Switch Online?
For sure. I'm day one purchase for me. Definitely going to do it through the online expansion pack. We'll probably just buy it separately because I'm that kind of person as well. Yeah. But yeah, I'm on an expansion pack plan. Well, I will be with like 7 other people, so we've got a full 8 people. For me, it's like easy deal right there. $10 a year. That's great.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think this is, funny enough, one of the things I wanted most in this game. I really loved Happy Home Designer. I really liked a lot of the features that it had in regards to designing, and my number one wish for this update was something Happy Home Designer related. So the Paradise stuff is great. Between like the partition walls and just totally transforming the things we can do with our interior designs, I knew that was going to be awesome. And then on top of that, like, once you play it a lot, you get rewarded with the ability to fix, and I'm going to say fix because some homes are pretty terrible. You can fix some of your villagers' homes that really need it. Specifically, those first 5 who moved in, they need a whole makeover.
Yep.
Yeah, they do. And they live in little cramped locations. Like, wow, you can't expand your homes. We can. But yeah, I mean, that would have been nice too also if we had that ability, but I think Nintendo have already kind of confirmed that we won't be able to use the expansion of the rooms. We had a video out, made a little bit of an error with that. That's my fault. I will take the blame for that. It's just that it was in the lower corner, and it was outside of the window.
It's that fine print.
Study. It's the fine print that was outside of the window of study. Because when you're studying this, you can't like study the entire direct because you're trying to produce a video, and that's just kind of the nature of it. But yeah, it's bound to happen like that. But hopefully, most of the speculations and such will be helpful and excite people for what will be coming to your island. I haven't really had a chance to do a whole lot to the outside of my island. I spent a lot of time completing my museum, getting new items now, and stuff like that. I really wanted to put some Mario stuff out there, especially since my main character basically looks like Princess Peach. I have a couple of other characters on my island too. There are DM and LM. People if you ever saw down there, it's like, what's DM and LM? It just stands for Dark Matilda and Light Matilda. They're two characters of mine, so if anyone wants to know that, that's just what it means. But what are you hoping to see come in the future, knowing that Nintendo have already said that they will not have any more large free updates, but maybe we'll have large paid updates, or at least small updates? What are you hoping to see, Chuy?
Yeah, so I would like to see, I think they opened it up really well with the Happy Home Paradise thing. Like, we're going and we're going to go work a job. I wouldn't mind seeing like another type of job that you can work. I don't know what it could be, but like just changing, maybe this is the way they interpret the spin-offs this generation. I know just before New Horizons, we got Happy Home Designer, Amiibo Festival, and Pocket Camp. There it is. But we got all of those, but maybe they, instead of spin-offs, they're just treated as add-ons to
that's
this.
That's a good point.
Like, I could see the minigame stuff be a big expansion. I could see maybe a rhythm game. Maybe you can go on tour with KK Slider. That's a dream of mine.
That'd be cool.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
So I fundamentally don't think that an Animal Crossing party game is a bad idea. I think it was poorly executed with one of the previous games, but I think it would be a fun way to spend some time with people.
Right. It's interesting you brought up Pocket Camp. The amount of items and the way the items look are so nice. I know we almost never talk about Pocket Camp because it's not one of the main Animal Crossing games. It's a mobile game, but you have to admit that a lot of the items are gorgeous. They are really nice looking, and there are a lot of nice features that could be brought to New Horizons. I don't see why not. We already saw some features from Happy Home Designer appear in New Leaf. Not so much features, but the items. Some of the items started appearing in New Leaf with Welcome Amiibo because of Happy Home Designer. Do I have that correct, by the way? I mean, I think I had that correct. Chuy?
Yes. Welcome Amiibo shared a bunch of items from Happy Home Designer. That's basically how they got them into that game. Yeah. Through the Amiibo, unfortunately, you had to buy them, but they were tradable. So, people who didn't buy them could trade for them.
Yeah. And I definitely like the panel upon game there, the Puzzle League. And I couldn't believe Lip was there. It's like, oh my gosh, we haven't seen Lip since, Captain Rainbow, actually. But that's a story for a completely different video. But it was great. I loved New Leaf. I'm really enjoying New Horizons. It has potential. This is actually putting it up there with New Leaf. I know there's many who will disagree with that, but it's doing well with trying to contend with it now. It wasn't before, but I think it is now. And it could keep going, but of course the timing may have been the issue. It could have been there from the start, like it was with New Leaf, and Amiibo just simply added more to that. So what do you think, Chris? What are your hopes?
Oh, for the future of New Horizons? Yeah. It's funny. I was going to give a pretty pessimistic answer because initially I really thought this is it. They're going to move on. Maybe some like really small things, but just from the way they said it in that direct, it sounds like this is it. But your point, Chuy, about this, them potentially using paid expansion packs and DLC to sort of bring in spin-off type experiences like Happy Home Paradise. That's a really interesting point that I could see happening. I think like realistically, I don't know. It'll be, we'll have to see how Happy Home Paradise performs. It's possible Nintendo's waiting to see too, because I really don't know if it wasn't included in the expansion of NSO, that kind of complicates things a bit. But if it was just its own thing, I really don't know if I could predict accurately how many people would get it. I don't know if a bunch of people are going to get the Happy Home thing, or just like the hardcore players like us, or the more hardcore players. but with NSO, it complicates things a lot. But it'll be interesting to see how successful that is, because that might dictate things.
That's true.
But I just want to say real quick, too, I think it's funny how we've had this whole discussion about it. And the one thing that they teased this direct with, we haven't even really talked about, and that's Brewster and the Roost. And
oh my
gosh.
It just represents how much info was in this direct. In the comments. You know, the one thing we were so excited about that we've been waiting for forever, we haven't even mentioned it.
I loved it though.
And they spent 30 seconds on it in the beginning of the direct. Like that was it. It's pretty great.
It does look great. Yeah, it does. It looks great, and the music sounds great in there too. Yes. I'm really surprised we didn't talk about it, and I'm sure a lot of people are gonna say in the comments like, "Why didn't you say the most obvious thing out there?" But because what happens, like Nintendo surprised, like, "Yeah, here's a little tip that you're gonna have in the museum, the cafe." And then once the direct came, that was the first thing we see. And then all of a sudden, by the way, we're going to send a huge block of information.
Yeah, you kind of forget about it.
Yeah, it's funny.
And I feel like it's partly because like we had our moment to be excited about Brewster and everything, but then like they throw something in like Harv's Island and you're like all of a sudden you're seeing Harriet, Katrina, Reese and Cyrus, Tortimer.
Yep. It's like what?
None of those characters have been in. Cap'n was right after Brewster as well. So it's just like they just threw so many special characters at us and it didn't give us time to just appreciate that. Yeah, we're getting some coffee. It's going to be nice, but also look at all this new stuff. It's great.
Yeah. There was no chance to actually process the cafe once they stopped showing the footage of that, because immediately they punched you with Captain.
Yeah.
I think I had that right? The Captain showed like immediately.
It was pretty close after. If it wasn't,
it
was
right after.
Immediately. Yeah.
I know from my 20 times I've watched it.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy. So yeah, as for me, it's pretty much what I said. I'm hoping that even if they can't do anything large, that they just give us some things regarding Nintendo, maybe some quality of life updates, for the free side, because I don't know if that would be considered like a large feature. It's just simply, oh look, by the way, you can mass craft, medicine or fish bait, and we tweaked the way you handle the Dodo Airlines, and stuff like that. Maybe a few other things. But I do like that they have the storage and the ABD, which will help a lot for traders. Traders will, when they come to their island, they set up a shop and stuff. They need to have access to their storage. I know from experience, running to your house and back a lot, or running to the resident services and back a lot is really tricky, and it's causing you to run like mad. You can relocate your house, but maybe you don't want to. Maybe you just want to be able to just go to the dock and just go from there.
And I do wonder, I guess, how some of those features are going, if they're even going to be changed with online, because one of the biggest pains with the ABD in particular, say you go to an island, they have an item that you want, it's 120,000 bells, and you're like, oh, don't have that type of money on me right now. Then you head to their ABD, and it actually doesn't let you use one
that is so
online.
Weird.
And I'm just like, if they fix that on top of having the convenience of it being located right next to your shop, that'd be great. But I mean, I think there's a lot of stuff that we won't know until this update actually launches, and we're like, okay, can we test some of these things out and see, does this work now? Is this a thing? Because they do stick a lot of stuff into these announcements, but there's a lot that's not mentioned. And so I've already seen, I know one in particular that they didn't mention in this direct was changing curtains on windows. I saw the icon and I recognized it from Happy Home Designer, and I was like, oh, they didn't talk about changing your curtains, but here's a different curtain on this window here.
Okay.
So
all right, so that does happen. Okay, because we were wondering about that. I think we were talking amongst the team about that, and no, it's good to see that there is some sort of evidence with that. I'm really glad. I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So I do think there's gonna be a lot of surprises even after this update comes. That
you know it.
They didn't mention bulk crafting, but who knows? Maybe it's just there, and everybody's like, "Oh, you fixed it."
Right, because there's an attention span. There's so much already said. I think Nintendo could have just said, you know what? If we keep saying more and more little smaller things, people are gonna be like, either just dead on the ground from just not being able to process it all, or something. It's like, and it may not be considered like a very critical thing for some people, although for some crowds it is. But a lot of people want to see new items and new content and stuff like that, rather than, oh, by the way, we made your life a little bit easier with this. But yeah, as for the last thing that I'm hoping to see, I hope Nintendo don't end the support like just by the end of this year, or by the end of the next second anniversary or something. I hope at least we get some small items, like going through the Nook stop. Maybe we can see some Nintendo stuff, like we were saying. But just anything, just give us some of the old content, anything like that. Just trickle. If you could only can trickle it, then just trickle the items. We can process all this new stuff that you've given. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, and that kind of said, I guess I kind of go back to Chris's negativity, because I also could see them just being like, here's some new Nook shopping items for this month, little tiny things that they add here and there. Basically, that was the drought this past summer of content for New Horizons. And yeah, I could kind of see them doing that, which it's not nothing, but it's like, it's not as exciting as what we just got with this update.
Oh, of course. But it's definitely better than not having anything at all. Like, for instance, we have such a drought at this very moment. We have such a drought. There's not even anything in the Nook stop right now. The seasonal items are just not present.
Oh, wow.
I believe I checked this morning last, and I think it's not going to appear until like late at the end of this.
I think it's
month.
Monday.
It's going to be on Monday.
Yeah.
This Monday? Okay.
I
where you have the marigold pot for the Day of the Dead. It's cool, but we definitely want to see more.
Yeah.
All right. So any final thoughts? Chuy?
I guess there's just so much to take in with this game now, especially with this update coming up. I think this changes a lot for anybody who's played Animal Crossing or anybody who wants to get into it. I think the game is going to be at a really good point after this update. Even without stuff being added, I think this is a lot of what was needed for some players who have played and haven't played.
Yep. And Chris?
Yeah, honestly, new Animal Crossing New Horizons feels pretty darn complete, I think. There's a lot of stuff here. There's some stuff that we would love to see, like the crossover content, but man, like there's a great game there. It doesn't feel like, I think the game that released day one was the complete game, and they're not like adding stuff after the fact, like sometimes with paid DLC or with DLC, it's like you didn't release the full game and then you're trickling it out to try and keep people interested. That doesn't feel like the case here. This is all just great stuff that it's awesome to have. Another thing that they announced is the new photo mode perspective, how you can enter first person. I love that. That's awesome, and it actually kind of makes it seem like Labo VR support is more in the realm of possibilities, and that would be so cool. First person, what?
We comment on that.
I was terrified because I did not buy a VR Labo set, and I'm just like, how am I going to find one so I can actually, because I have to play Animal Crossing in VR.
So cool.
That would be neat. I mean, anything like that in VR, because we even did that with Breath of the Wild. It's like we were like dizzy or sick with it real quick, and then like, once you get used to it, at least this is from Andre's experience, you get used to it, and that was something. I couldn't get too much into it, but I loved it when you check it out in Super Mario. I want to say Super Mario Galaxy.
Oh, I wish.
No, I didn't mean Galaxy. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
No, in Odyssey, it was a simple little thing, but I liked it. I actually liked what we saw.
Yeah,
I will never play Animal Crossing any other way after VR comes out. Like, I'll just live there, put my body in the game. Use the same mechanic as the camera that will be updated in the update. Just boom, look, you can just zoom around. Oh, look, I can see it in 3D now.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, so Chuy, where can people find you?
Yeah, I'm Chuy Plays over on YouTube. I host a couple podcasts, Haken and Nintendo Noise. And if you are interested in indie games, this project I'm working on now, I'm writing for Patch. It's coming out soon. I'm really excited about that one.
Awesome. Well, that's it for this GameXplain discussion. Thanks for joining us. So what do you think of the New Horizons content coming next month? Please be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell if you haven't yet. And check out the videos on the right for content that may interest you. And of course, stay tuned to GameXplain for more on Animal Crossing New Horizons and other things gaming too. Until next time, ciao.